Hey guys, Spire here with another episode of Inspired Gaming. And this time we're going to be talking about the Zero Dust Shaman deck. So, this Zero Dust deck was developed by Sheng, which you can find at uh, HearthstonePlayers.com, Beginner Deck Tech, Basic Bloodlust, Shaman. And so, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so, Shaman's a very unique class that uses overload mechanics to use mana from their next turn to play bigger minions or cast spells that they wouldn't normally be able to cast on a certain turn because they didn't have enough mana. And so, it locks those mana crystals, and then next turn, those crystals are locked because you technically used them the turn before. Now, this particular deck doesn't use this overload mechanic because it's not in any of the basic cards that you would get once you reach level 10 with Shaman. You do need to reach level 10 so that you can have the Fire Elemental, which is a very powerful card in this deck. Now, the Shaman's hero power produces one of 4 totems. So if you don't have any of the totems on the board, you have a 25% chance of getting either a 1/1 Searing Totem, a Wrath of Air totem, which is going to be basically useless in this deck because we don't really have any spells, but it's very powerful and constructed because it gives +1 spell damage and can turn something like a Lightning Storm effectively almost into a Flame Strike. Or you get a 0/2 Healing totem, which heals all your minions on the board for 1 each time. This can be very powerful for the Priest if you're playing against them because they can hit this, as I showed in the Zero Dust Priest video. If they hit the healing totem with their Northshire Cleric, then the healing totem is going to heal, and then they will draw cards off of that. So these are the type of things you want to be thinking about. They get bonuses off of that healing totem, so you have to be careful. And then the Stone Claw totem effectively provides a 0/2 taunt, which can stop a really big minion from hitting your face. Now, if any one of these totems is already on the board, you can't get that totem again from your hero power. So if we have a Searing totem on the board and you cast your hero power, you're either going to get a Wrath of Air, Healing, or a Stoneclaw totem, which effectively gives you a 33% chance to get either one of those because your Searing totem is already on the board. And you also want to think about this: if you have all 4 totems on the board, you can't actually play your hero power until one of those totems is dead. And so you want to think about that whenever you're trading these totems away. So this is a Zero Dust mid-range board control, okay? It's very weak to board clear, so you don't want to, if you have board advantage, you don't want to just dump all of your minions on the board because that's a way to lose. And it also lacks board clear. But if you did buy the recent Karazhan adventure, you could put the Maelstrom portal in there, and then the Wrath of Air totem would actually be quite powerful. And so let's just take a look at these cards. Rockbiter Weapon. These are all basic cards, so it costs no dust to make this deck. You just have to get to level 10. Rockbiter Weapon can be put on yourself or a minion, and it provides 3 attack, and it can be used to trade into a 3/3 minion for 3 mana very effectively. Now, the Stone Tusk Boar was put in here basically to work with the Frostwolf Warlord and your Flametongue Totem, okay? So you can put this down. You can get extra buff on Frostwolf Warlord. You can have an extra body that's going to get +3 additional attack whenever you play Bloodlust. Or you can put it down when you only have one minion next to a Flametongue Totem to instantly get a 3/1 creature. The Acidic Swamp Ooze is a great 2-drop from the basic set that has the ability to destroy your opponent's weapon and trade up into a 3-mana minion. The Bloodfin Raptor is a similar to that. Your Flametongue Totem's an important totem here. You don't want to just put it on a board because it's a high value target for your enemy, as in they're going to target that to clear it off the board quickly. So you want to put it down when you can place it next to something else, so that you can put it in the middle of 2 minions, and so you get 4 extra attack from it. So it goes great in the middle of Razorfin Hunter, which isn't a particularly phenomenal card, but it produces 2 bodies that you can put Flametongue in the middle of next time to actually attack your opponent and potentially trade up. Hex is probably one of your most powerful cards in this deck, okay? Because if they play something like Sylvanas Windrunner or Karn Bloodhoof, which has a death rattle, and maybe they're trying to pull N'Zoth later to resurrect all those minions, it actually hexes that it turns that minion into a 0/1 frog with taunt, but it also removes that death rattle. So the Sylvanas Windrunner won't take over one of your minions. The Cairn won't summon Bane Bloodhoof, and importantly, if they do have something that summons a death rattle minion that's died this game, the death rattle was actually hexed away, so that it's considered that it wasn't there. Raid Leader isn't a particularly good card to play on turn 3. What you want to do is when you have a large board, put this down and to get one attack on the rest of your minions, unless you have to play it on turn 3 to get board control. Shattered Sun Cleric, we've talked about in the other videos. It buffs a minion. It gives it a chance to trade up or trade, not trade, and actually survive and kill another minion that it would have actually traded with. Chillwind Yeti. Best basic 4-drop in the game, even though it's vanilla. The Dragonling mechanic is like our Razorfin Hunter, where you're going to get 2 bodies. It's kind of the upgraded version of that, and it goes great to put Flame Tongue Totem in the middle of. The Shinjin Shieldmaster will protect a board that you've kind of established from getting killed by other minions, and then Bloodlust and Frostwolf Warlord are both of our win conditions here. The Frostwolf Warlord goes great with the Shaman hero power, because for each totem that you have on the board, it's going to gain +1/+1. So remember, always play the rest of your moves first before you put down the Frostwolf Warlord if you were going to put minions on the board. Now, Bloodlust in particular, 2 of them can be bad in your hand, but this is your win condition, and you always want to be make sure to count up your damage from Bloodlust, because it can be substantial. Even with those 0/2 totems, they'll now have 3 attack, and a lot of times you can miss lethal if you're not paying attention to counting that up. Bloodlust here can also be used as kind of your only effective board clear, in that if you have a lot of minions on the board and they have a lot of minions on the board, you could Bloodlust, and then you could potentially trade favorably where some of your minions will stay up, or you cleared what was a very powerful board. And then finally, Fire Elemental is a 6-drop that we put out a 6/5, so it's kind of our Boulder Fist Ogre in this deck, but we've given up 2 health here for the ability to deal 3 damage to anything we want when it comes out, which can give you a great momentum swing. So let's go ahead and jump in and see how this deck works in ranked. So with these 0 dust decks, you should be able to easily get to rank 20 each season, where you can get your golden card, and then that can start to build on your collection. You can use it to either get dust or actually use it in your collection, and then you'll be able to build yourself up faster. And that's kind of why I made these, because this is how I got started, and have gotten going very fast and been able to, in just 4 or 5 short months with very little cards, reach rank 5. Okay, so with the mulligans, you want to get rid of stuff like Frostwolf Warlord and try to go for a very good curve. So what you're looking for mulligan wise is you kind of want Rockbiter Weapon, Acidic Swamp Ooze, Bloodfin, Flame Tongue, so we'll keep that one actually. The Razorfin Hunter or the Shattered Sun Cleric, okay? So we're just going to mulligan those 2 away because, like I said, Raid Leader is more powerful later on. We've got our Bloodfin Raptor, and that's what we're going to want to play on turn 2. So we can just pass this away. And if you had Rockbiter, you can save it. Don't hit face, because that effectively wastes your Rockbiter weapon. You want to use that to trade into something like a 2-mana minion, where you would get better tempo from using a 1-mana card to trade into a 2-mana minion. Now, this mage makes a mistake by using an extremely powerful card to go face. So now she can't kill this Bloodfin Raptor with that, which would have been a completely even trade, both at 2 mana. And now she's going to use a 1 mana to try to stop me from hitting her face, but I'm just going to be able to clear these. So this was a really, really bad play, and it's something that I see new players do quite a bit. So what we're going to do is produce a totem here. I don't want to put this one out, because all I'm going to be able to do is hit one of these 2. And so doing 5 damage to it actually wouldn't be very effective while she's trying to draw an answer to my Bloodfin Raptor. Now, this is the Wrath of Air totem, which is very powerful if you have spell damage cards in your deck, but like I said, none of those are in the basic set that Sheng developed, and so we won't be able to utilize this, but this time we will. So had she had gotten this Bloodfin Raptor off the board with Frostbolt, then I wouldn't be able to hit her face right now. But actually, now I'm going to be able to hit this taunt and then do 5 damage to her face, which is actually very effective. I could play another Flame Tongue Totem right next to this one, and then next time I could do 2 damage with this Flame Tongue as well, or with each of the Flame Tongues. But I'm actually just going to put another totem down. We get the Searing Totem this time. This is what it looks like. And then keep moving forward, because this can be a powerful play later on when he's not ready for it. Now, what you want to do is, if you only had one minion on the board, like this Bloodfin Raptor, and we played the Flame Tongue Totem, you want to play this Flame Tongue Totem to the right, because your hero power totem is always going to put a totem to the right of your Flame Tongue Totem. Okay? And so that gives you a chance of getting an actual buffed token on the next turn. Now, with Mage, we could play this Acidic Swamp Ooze early right now, because she's not going to have a weapon. Okay, but actually, I don't have anything that I need to really protect with Taunt, so I'm going to put a Chillwind Yeti out here, get some board control, maybe pull out a Fireball from her so that she doesn't have that Fireball to go face later on. And her hero power is deal 1 damage, so she could ping this, which could be powerful for her if she has like a 3 drop to play. But if you're getting them to use their hero power to ping stuff, that's usually a good thing. Now, she chose to use the Polymorph there, but our Bloodlust is still effective with that sheep on the board. And so we've used one of our Chillwind Yetis to kind of get one of her cards out that we need. Now, right here, I need to be careful, because technically another mage could Blizzard next turn. So what we're going to do is try to get quite a bit of damage out onto her. And now we've got a full board. Now, if this was Blizzard, okay, which would happen, it would kill everything but this totem, okay? So I would just have the Flame Tongue Totem up after. You see, I still have a lot of minions to repopulate my board if she were to clear it. Next turn, on turn 7, okay, she can play Flame Strike, which would clear this entire board, okay? But if she doesn't play Blizzard this turn, okay, so now she could be freezing all my minions for a Flame Strike. And if she hadn't froze them and she didn't play Blizzard this turn, we would play Bloodlust, and then that would be our win condition. We would win the board. But what she's probably likely doing is creating an extra turn so she can play Flame Strike next turn, or she's trying to pull her Flame Strike that she maybe has in the deck, which does 4 damage to all minions. So I'm actually just going to pass this turn by putting up another totem, because if she Flame Strikes, then I've got minions to populate the board. Okay, you could have potentially put a Chillwind Yeti down. That would have left you with a 4-1 after a Flame Strike, and she would have been out of mana, so she wouldn't have been able to do anything. But I think I've got enough to repopulate the board. I'd probably put down the Chillwind Yeti and the Sinjin. So there's the Flame Strike. It's a good example. And now we can actually repopulate the board in a way that we should be able to win if she's not carrying another copy of Flame Strike. And I could have repopulated this a little bit better, but this will actually work. So now we've got 4 minions on the board. We're susceptible to Flame Strike again, but because we were using our totems to make it look like a board that was Flame Strikeable, she actually didn't get that much value out of it, and we have similar card advantage, but I have board control. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Take your medicine.
Let's make magic.
Okay, and so I should have it with just the Bloodlust next time. So this would be 5, 9, 13, and I would be just short, but we can play the Raid Leader and the Bloodlust, and you can see how powerful this is, how much damage we're going to be able to do in one turn. And this is against somebody with much better cards. So this is how powerful these Zero Dust basic decks can be. And it can just move you straight up to rank 20. Okay, so let's go into one more game and finish off this Shaman Zero Dust deck series. And so you can see how the win condition was that Bloodlust, and we would have missed it with, just barely missed it if we didn't have Raid Leader, but that's also a reason why you want to save Raid Leader to the end. You can buff those minions a little bit extra, and you can get more value out of them. Now this time we'll save Rockbiter Weapon and the Razorfin Hunter. We could actually potentially save the Chillwind Yeti, but we're going to try to get a better 2-drop than just our totem here. You want to play for a really great curve, which is what we've got now. If he plays something quite large on this first turn, then we can hit it with a Rockbiter Weapon. And so now he's going to try to get some Murloc synergy going on. And so this is the most powerful of his Murlocs, because he's going to keep playing more Murlocs. So they're each Murloc's going to have 1 extra attack. So we get rid of that so that we so that he doesn't get the synergy off of that. And now we're faced with just a 1/1. And are starting to build some card advantage. Okay, so now we can give him, we can coin out our 3 because we're going to have a 3 to play next turn. Okay, so we don't need to particularly play the Bloodfin Raptor. And then this way we can, you know, he can either kill this and we can hit into that.
One shot, one kill.
And so we're going to go for this one because it has more health. The other ones are going to be easier to kill. So you can see how he's kind of loading up the board. This is what we're going to be really weak to. The more minions he gets on the board, the more difficult it's going to be for us to kind of control this board. So we want to be trading efficiently. Now he's going to kill this with one of these 1/1s. And so we're just trying to kind of get board control here. He's using a lot of cards, so he's going to have some card draw in his deck to catch back up with us. So our first play was actually pretty good. It would have been better if we had this, if we had been able to hit this Vilefin Inquisitor. It's kind of gone off the board now, but the 1/3 with the Rockbiter Weapon would have been a little bit more powerful of a play. So now we can play our Dragonling mechanic on turn 4. And remember, Paladin has Consecration on turn 4, which, you know, if you did have a lot of totems, that's kind of like the Flame Strike in a way. It's going to do 2 damage to all of your board, which is going to get all of your totems from your hero power. So this minion is actually very important for him, and we're up on card draw. Like, we've got card advantage here. And he's going to keep summoning Murlocs because his hero power is now summon 1 Murloc. This isn't the best Hex, but I think it's going to work well here.
Job's done.
Because it's going to force these 2 to kill this guy for him to gain board control back. But normally you would want to Hex something much more powerful. Now, if we can pull our Acidic Swamp Ooze, this is where the true Silver Champion, you know, is such a great card. It would really hurt him if we could Acidic Swamp Ooze here. Okay, so we got another Hex. What I'm going to do here is I want him to hit his face with this. We get to deal 3 damage to this guy, which kills him. Now he's got to handle this, so we'll get the True Silver Champion out of the way. It was unfortunate we don't have our Acidic Swamp Ooze, but then that would have been a very powerful play. It would have crushed this True Silver Champion, would have had a 3-2 on the board. Okay, and so this is kind of another target for Hex. Just knowing that, like, so much of this game is going to be knowing, you know, what can your opponent play, and he's got all these powerful synergistic Murlocs that we're going to actually have trouble with. Now he probably has 2 copies of each of these, so that this Hex was probably also wasted. But it was going to be too powerful to have all of these minions on the board. And you can see, like, if we had a board clear, it would be much more powerful. But this is the type of deck that this Zero Dust deck is going to lose to. Like, I just have no way of handling the board, and they just don't provide that. They don't provide that in the basic Shaman cards. And so this is really the way to beat this deck. And that's why I was using my Hexes a little aggressively, because otherwise he would have been doing a lot more damage to face with all these buffed Murlocs. But if you do have the Karazhan Adventure, like I said, you could Maelstrom Portal. This would wipe his board and almost guarantee you the win. Yeah, man, I really don't want to play Acidic Swamp Ooze here because he has another True Silver Champion, but I really have no choice because I'm losing and I'm getting behind just because of his board. So he's able to trade favorably each time, which is garnering him this win. Because I want to get this down, and I can't now because I've used the Hexes that stop the buffs from the other Murlocs. And this is why Bloodlust is a hard card to have, because it's effectively kind of dead in your hand right now. Because if he doesn't leave any minions up, and now he's starting to gain card advantage because he's able to trade favorably into me, then I can't play the Bloodlust and I can't utilize it. So it's a card that's very dependent on board control. And if you wait too late into the game and your opponent is able to build up on their cards here, then that's how they're gonna beat you. And again, that's why I was so aggressive with the Hexes. But now these Murlocs with buffs are coming out, and so this is how this type of Paladin wins. Now you play this Frostwolf Warlord, he's gonna get +1/+1, and it's not terrible to play him without onto an empty board, but you want to at least have one totem up so that he can be a little bit bigger. But this guy actually wins this turn. But this is an example of you want to play that totem first because that's what made him a 5/5/5. And a 5/5/5 is really good, but what you want is, like, you know, you can make this a 9/9 if you're actually controlling the board. And he had lethal there, so he should have gone face. And we're really not going to sit around for him to figure out how to get his win. He's bested us pretty easy because he filled up the board. And so one of the first, if you really enjoy playing this deck, one of the first cards you would look to get is Lightning Storm. Okay, so we go to the Shaman collection and look in Shamans, and we go to crafting. So now Lightning Storm's a powerful card, and this actually utilizes your Wrath of Air Totem, where it would become deal 3 to 4 damage to all enemy minions. And if we had this card or Maelstrom Portal, it does 1 damage to all minions and summons a 1/1. It summons a 1-cost minion for you. And so if you had the Wrath of Air Totem, then it would do 2 damage to all minions and effectively be a Consecrate or a Holy Nova. Consecration being 4 cost, Holy Nova being 5 cost, but it deals 2 damage to all the minions on your opponent's board. And since that last one was a loss, but I think it's good to see what actually counters this deck because it's such a good counter. You know, those are the types of cards that you want to be looking to upgrade into this deck, and you could trade it for something like one of your raid leaders, and then you would actually have been able to clear that because we had hexed away the minions that were going to help his other minions survive. If we'd have played one Maelstrom Portal with a Wrath of Air totem, then we would have cleared his board and we would have won. And so this is where this deck is extremely weak. It's extremely weak when your opponent fills up the board, if they can clear your board, and because you can't clear their board. Now, there's really nothing to play here. New people would have been tempted to coin out in hero power, and that's a trap. Or coin out one of these Flame Tongue totems. She can just Frostbolt that down, and then you lose this really powerful effect later on in the game. And then this is another reason why you don't just play Rockbiter on yourself and hit face. Yeah, you just took 3 damage to face, and you're about to take 2 more, but you're going to get rid of this mage's extremely powerful minion in a 1/1 type of turn. And you don't want to place your Stone Tusk Boar out there because you want to use that later to either place next to your Flame Tongue Totem, or to put down when you're about to Bloodlust, or to put down to increase the power of your Frostwolf Warlord. Okay, and so now we're just going to play this, and he can either take down this or take down that. And so we trade 3 mana for 3 mana if he trades into each other. So it's just a fair, straightforward trade. We're trying to gain board control back because we went second, and he's had a minion to play each time. Now see, this is where things can kind of get we can get behind, is because now he's filling up the board again, and again we don't have that powerful Lightning Storm. If we could Wrath of Air Totem and Maelstrom Portal next turn, it would clear his board and it would almost ensure us the win. I'm going to show you how to powerfully handle this board this next turn, though, because he is getting a pretty good advantage on us right now. Okay, so here's what we can do. We can put down our Flame Tongue Totem. Okay, this allows us to clear here and here. Alright. Then we can charge. This is how to use the charge powerfully, okay? But we know it's going to die, and we use this 1/1 to clear his 3 mana minion. So this was a great trade. And now he has to kill this. Okay, so what we could do is coin and try to get the Stoneclaw Totem, and then it would make it to where you can't kill that. But actually, mages usually have a lot of spells they could shoot past the Stoneclaw, and so it won't be as powerful for us to use our coin here. Or we could have coined in the Shattered Sun Cleric, kind of protected this guy, but I don't think we could have gotten past the taunts then. And so he's using Raid Leader actually quite effectively here. He's going to use this to clear this one, and then this is going to just be merely... Okay, that was an extremely bad play. He needed to take this down because this minion is too powerful left up. Okay, so what we're going to do here is actually we get quite a good Frostwolf Warlord out, playing it right now.
The Frostwolves stand ready.
Okay, and then we're going to clear this guy because this takes away his power, and now he can clear this. But it really should have already been cleared, and now he's got to handle this with either Polymorph or a Fireball. And we have the potential to draw into our Sinjin Shield Masters, which would taunt and force him to crash these into that. So if he goes face, unless he has 2 Fireballs, I think it's face is a poor decision. But he is getting me quite close to where he could win. If he had 2 Fireballs there, the play was to Fireball my face, and then hit 3 into my face, and then the next turn he would be able to Fireball again. And he would have won.
must cleanse the Sunwell.
Handle it!
Okay, now he's got multiple things to clear that are buffing things, and he has to actually clear this one, he's got to hit it and ping it. So he's still playing pretty bad. I guess I could have coined the Dragonling mechanic. I've kind of wasted my coin this time.
What to do?
Oh, sorry. Oh, man. I forgot to attack with this. I should have actually attacked. I just saw the in-turn thing, and I was like, oh, it's leaving the coin up. So buffing this gave me the ability to attack with it. Raid Leader gave me the ability to attack with it. So I could have crashed into this 2-1 and got his power off the board because it's quite powerful because he can hit this, and then this takes this down to a 1-4. And so now he's attacking correctly. He needs to get rid of the Flame Tongue Totem. I don't understand why he's leaving it up. Okay, so we can play the Acidic Swamp Ooze.
Just me and Mr. Fight.
Okay, and we can also play a totem. So now we've got this totem on this side. We can coin out our other Flame Tongue Totem, which is going to give this enough power to take this guy down, which makes this just a 2. And so this guy is going to be healed up, and so he can't just ping this down with his hero power. If he pings this one down with his hero power, this one becomes a 4-4. If he has Flame Strike, then yeah, we probably ended up getting behind, and I put too much on the board. But he didn't Flame Strike on turn 7 when he had a pretty decent board to Flame Strike into, so... Maybe he top-decked it, maybe not. And so, Bloodlust would be incredibly powerful right here. It would get us very close to winning. So now we know he's just completely top-decking. Okay, so what we can do here, we can take that. We've got a Wrath of Air Totem. So we can crash this into this one, because this would kill it. We can crash this into this one, because that helps it survive. This is what favorable trading is. He could have killed a lot of these totems, but since he decided to go face, he can't favorably trade him. And so it's unlikely that he pulls top decks his Flame Strike. So we'll just put the Acidic Swamp Ooze down so that we can go for the win next turn. And so the only reason this guy is about to lose, granted he doesn't pull something really well, is he didn't trade favorably when he had the opportunity to do it. Now what he needs to do is top deck a Fireball to win himself the game. But if we get Bloodlust, you know, he's going to have a pretty hard time.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
So and we're forced to put everything down because he has 1 or 2 cards, especially if he picked up a Pyroblast. Like he used 1 Fireball. If he picks up his other Fireball, he wins. Okay, so now he's got an even better chance of drawing this Fireball. He can even Flame Strike, and a Flame Strike also wins him the game. You're not always going to win with these 0 dust decks, but if you play them well, you should easily be able to get to rank 20. And apparently played perfectly, they can get you to rank 15 in seasons. But you want to kind of play towards the end of the season once people have achieved the rank they want and kind of stopped playing, and you're left with maybe the poorer players at the end of the season. Not a particularly bad polymorph. But obviously he didn't get the fireball that he needed. Now, if we top deck either of our Bloodlusts, it's an easy win. And so you kind of just want to play to the statistics of the deck.
Well played.
And we still didn't get our... So we've got 6 minions on the board. I want one that I'm guaranteed to do a lot of damage with. The only totem I can get 3 of my different totems right now, but I need the 3 damage because we're both like top decking.
Push forward.
You know, if I didn't have the damage to kill him, you want the 3 damage over a potential 0-2 and hoping that you pull Bloodlust. Okay, but so he could have top decked 2 cards that would have beat us. Flame Strike, which he had 1 in his deck left of, or Fireball, which he had 1 in his deck left of. And a lot of people with cards that play Mage can be carrying a Pyroblast, which would have also finished us off there. So that's when you just play towards the statistics. If it's going to finish us off, it's time to dump the entire hand and try to go face before he pulls his top decked card. And that's kind of how you want to be thinking about to beat these potentially better decks than yours, people that have gotten cards before you and potentially made a better deck. And so if you can beat them before they can draw those good cards, if you can beat them before turn 10, which Bloodlust will allow you to do, this can be a particularly powerful deck. Remember, it goes down to board clear. So if you do enjoy this, be crafting that Lightning Storm, be crafting the Maelstrom Portal, or getting it as early as you can, and then that'll help you win a lot more with this deck. I hope you liked this video series. So this is the 3rd installment of it. We have the Zero Dust Priest and the Zero Dust Mage have already been done. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and or comment, and be sure to check out all my content by following at twitch.tv/FollowSpire and subscribing to my YouTube channel, FollowSpire. This helps me continue to be able to put out content like this. And until next time, this has been Inspired Gaming.